New Guys Podcast, episode 16. Time is really flying. I feel like we just started this and we're on 16 already. Uh, a lot of news actually this week. Let's get right into it. Once again, we are sponsored by nobody, so let's get on that. And we just got on Spotify. Before we get into any of the news, we just got on Spotify. You
Big
can
news.
find it in literally any of our personal social medias, which will be down in the description. Enough self-promotion. Let's get into it. Probably the biggest news to come out of this week, Patrick Mahomes' mega deal. 10 years, $450 million. Yes, that is with an M. There's a lot of back and forth going on about it. People saying it's too much. He shouldn't be paid that much. And other people saying, screw it. He deserves it. What do you guys think about the new deal?
Well, go ahead.
Okay. I think, this is the beginning probably of something you saw a lot in the 90s with quarterbacks getting these huge deals, like 10-year deals. Obviously, back then, they're only getting like $10 million a year. Mahomes, I think, is going to make upwards of 45 or 50. It's just like unprecedented. And obviously, a guy like Mahomes is the first guy who really deserves it, I think. And anybody we've seen over the past, how many years. The guy's already all time in terms of talent. I mean, you look at his resume at age 24, Super Bowl MVP, Super Bowl ring, MVP in his first year, 50 touchdowns. I mean, if you're looking for a guy who deserves his contract, it's obviously this guy. So well-deserved. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Like the fact that you can get $500 million playing sports is just like unreal. Not that it's a bad thing, but just insane. So good for him.
Well, in the time that we've been recording, Patrick Mahomes has already made about $190.
He's counting on his head.
Yes. That is exactly why I let Pat go first, by the way.
Okay.
So I could up that count. But in all seriousness, I think that, first of all, he does deserve it. He most certainly deserves that contract because he's been in the league for 3 years, but his first 2 years starting are some of the best that the league has ever seen. My mind immediately goes to how that cap hit is going to affect the rest of the Chiefs roster.
Yeah,
because they have with all the talk about the running back market changing. Damian Williams is young, but he's going to be looking for a contract extension soon. And I give him I would not be surprised whatsoever if he decides to hold out next year and the Chiefs can't give him what he wants because they've paid Patrick Mahomes so much.
They can't get anyone what they want on that
Exactly. You've got Tyreek Hill. You've got Travis Kelce. You got Tyrann Mathieu. You've got a lot of players, and they won't be able to sign any big-name free agents anymore. They're going to have to build their team through the draft from now on, which, is a challenge that obviously their front office thinks that they can take on if they're going to give Patrick Mahomes this kind of money. But I think he deserves it, but I don't think that it's smart for a team to give that much money to one singular player. And the other place that my mind immediately goes is, if that's what Patrick Mahomes got, imagine what Lamar Jackson is going to one-up him with when he's up for an extension. Because you already know, and Deshaun Watson, year after next, or this year. Deshaun Jackson is a whole another story right now.
Yeah.
But that's where I think.
So I want to say real quick.
Go ahead.
Sorry, guys. But because I know Graham last week actually is funny. I'm pretty sure you mentioned how if you look at the past, how many Super Bowl champions, none of them have really been won by quarterbacks on max deals.
Right.
We were talking about last week. Tom Brady always took team-friendly deals. Nick Foles and Carson Wentz. Obviously not
rookie deals.
Patrick Mahomes this past year, rookie deals, and a lot of teams you see once they give their quarterbacks that huge extension, the rest of the team kind of falls apart around them.
Jimmy G is the exception because if the 49ers had won the Super Bowl, but that's a different case because while he was on that big deal, the 49ers' rest of their roster was loaded with young players that were stars still on their rookie deals.
Yep.
Like Nick Bosa and Richard Sherman. We talked about it the other week. He's on that prove-it contract, exactly. Yep. And Emmanuel Sanders wasn't too expensive, so that's the exception to the rule. But yeah, I think the Chiefs' Super Bowl window automatically shrunk as soon as he put the pen to the paper.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the argument about that you think it's a fair deal just because there's no doubt he's the best quarterback in the league right now. But personally, I'm not a fan of giving any sports player more than 5 or 6 years just because you lock yourself into something that, if God forbid he gets injured and has a career altering injury 5 years in, there's not much you can do, and then you're paying him top QB money for no reason. So I got into like a debate with a Chiefs fan on Twitter, and he was trying to tell me that that the argument that Mahomes won't be able, he pretty much claims that Mahomes has already proven that he can play with like no-name receivers and that he can perform with anyone who gets put on the team. And he referenced, I guess, like a game against the Broncos or something. I don't know what he was talking about. But I think the biggest thing is that we haven't seen Mahomes play really without his two biggest weapons in Kelsey and Hill. And you're arguing Kelsey's the best tight end in the league. Hill's a top 5, 6, 7 wide receiver in the league. So if this turns out that the Mahomes contract makes it so they can't, sign one of those guys back, that's a huge hit to their roster. And, you're putting a little bit more on Mahomes, which we haven't seen, yet in his career.
And you mentioned being wary of just that long of a deal in the first place. Mm-hmm. I remember back when I was in elementary school and I saw the bar light up at the bottom of Sports Center saying that the Red Sox had signed Dustin Pedroia to like a 10-year contract extension. And I was so happy because I was a huge PD fan. And then obviously we know what's happened in the last 10 years with Pedroia. He had like almost exactly like you said, he had that injury about 5 years ago and he's never been the same. And he hasn't played in like 3 years, give or take a couple games.
Just the Machado thing too.
Yeah.
Well, and it's kind of like if you want to reference it to football, it's kind of like after, Brady won his first ring. If the Patriots had gone out and said, all right, here's the deal, we're giving you 12 years. It's like people would be like, I mean, everyone would have been like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, we don't know enough about this guy to determine whether he's going to be.
Can we make that a Jordan clip?
What's up?
What the fuck are you doing? Can we make that a Jordan clip for this week?
Anthony wants to get the monkey off his back.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
But
yet another week where we have to mark it as an explicit episode. Great job, Jordan.
I got to throw it in every time. But like that wouldn't, personally for me, I'd be like, what are you doing? 12 years to a guy that we've seen for a couple seasons. And now, like you mentioned it, Graham, the Chiefs put themselves in a position where they need to, win multiple Super Bowl rings. I think Mahomes needs to be ranked towards the top all time for me to actually justify that contract. So you're talking like 3, 4, maybe 5 Super Bowl wins, maybe another MVP, multiple Pro Bowls, and you're putting all that weight onto Mahomes. So I don't know. We're gonna have to wait, obviously, to see if it works out.
And it's tough. It's tough because like with the amount of money that you're devoting to him, I feel like if I were a Chiefs fan and in the next 10 years they get anything short of 3 Super Bowl rings in the next decade, I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, because with that
Yeah.
kind of money, that's what you should be getting out of it.
I feel like it really could be the beginning of the end of the Chiefs. Like, I mean, I might be the Patriots fan in me coming out because
Max Kellerman.
obviously because of the losses that the Chiefs have handed to us over the years. But you have, when you're paying a guy as much as the franchise is pretty much worth, or a franchise is pretty much worth, that's when question marks are starting to be raised, because we mentioned it earlier. You think Tyreek Hill is going to want to stay if they're paying him nothing? If they're putting every penny into Patrick Mahomes, is a guy like Tyreek Hill going to stay? Is a guy like Travis Kelce going to stay? And you said he's the best tight end in the league, which he is not. I believe that George Kittle is. But the other topic for today,
It's tight. It's tight.
I think it's cool. I like him better. And I'm completely derailed now. And then you got a guy like Tyrann Mathieu, who has had issues in the past with contracts and wanting more money. So I feel like he would be the first to step out of the door, out of the whole entire Chiefs roster. And then you got to worry about whether Mahomes is going to get injured. He really hasn't shown any signs of being injury prone. but I don't trust this Chiefs offensive line. I could be wrong, right? I feel like, off the top of my head, I feel like they're an older group who could be slowly on the decline. And if he's getting clobbered every I don't know, every 10 plays or getting hit all more often than he should be, then I think that's going to eventually catch up to him like it would any athlete.
It's something notable. I saw a post about it, I think today or yesterday. And I'm looking at it now. Other quarterbacks who have signed 10-year deals, there has not been one that's played out their contract either with the team that they originally were intended to, or like they just retired early. Brett Favre ended up retiring. You know,
well, I don't think you have to worry about Mahomes retiring. I think that's kind of
well, you say that.
Yeah.
You
I
say
mean, you never
that.
know what can happen too.
Yeah.
Though.
You say that now. You're right. You're absolutely right. But you never know what can happen. But as of right now, I can't see him retiring unless something like completely dramatic happens.
I mean, in terms of age, you're right. But injury, you never know. I mean, it's the way he moves around. He's already had a problem with his knee. Like, you know, it's not out of the question for him to, you know, do something more to that. And then I think we're really lucky with Brady. That ACL tear, you know, could have been it.
That could have been it.
And that could have been the end of an era. But he ends up coming back. So if that happens to Mahomes, you're talking, you know, maybe at least a couple of years of recovery, and you're paying that guy, you know, upwards of 45, 50 million a year at some points in the contract. So.
Yeah, I don't even know. I think. Oh, go ahead.
All the other guys that have gotten a lucrative deal like that, the 10 years, maybe not all of them, but the majority of them ended up. Oh wow, my face is really dark now. Ended up having
switching spots on us.
Yeah, I had to move a little bit because of my Wi-Fi.
Since we're on Spotify, we gotta let them know what just happened.
True.
All right, we gotta get play-by-play. I got up, turned around, turned another light on. But yeah, they all had some kind of injury that really derailed their career, like Dante Culpepper. Michael Vick went to jail, obviously. But like things like that could happen. Patrick Mahomes could be fighting dogs. We don't know.
And I feel like out of everyone to get this contract, Patrick Mahomes deserves it the most. Not only because he's a great player, but I feel like he's going to do really good things with that money. Obviously, you know, he has the Patrick Mahomes or whatever, that foundation that he runs for kids in less than good upbringings and stuff like that. Like my friends and I were talking about that, I believe yesterday. Like you got all these people with all the money in the world, and what are they doing with it? I feel like Patrick Mahomes could really contribute a lot to society in general with the money he's making. He is definitely not the type to go out and buy all this expensive clothes and expensive cars, expensive everything that he really doesn't need. So that's a good move on the Chiefs. But $450 million, it's a gutsy move.
He could use it to bribe his brother to get off of TikTok.
Please.
Well, he might not have to do that, as you know. Currently, shut down TikTok.
The Chiefs didn't realize they just signed Jackson Mahomes to a 10-year deal too, and his girlfriend.
His girlfriend.
I'd rather not get into that right now.
I mean, I think there's no doubt that if a position player is going to deserve that type of contract, it's a quarterback. I think everyone agrees on that. But it still is crazy that you're talking about, you know, for example, we bring up Tom Brady again, but, you know, a guy that, you know, was the heart and soul of the Patriots for 20 years, never got anywhere close to, you know, the type of money that Mahomes is going to see in 5 years. And Mahomes has done significantly less than what Brady did, you know, 5 years into his career. So, you know, we keep referencing it, but Mahomes has got to get another title, I feel like, in the next couple of years. I mean, he cannot go 3 seasons and not win a Super Bowl. I mean, now it's make or break, especially when you have Hill. I don't know the contract situation with Hill and Kelsey, whether they're expiring within the next year or 2 years, but I mean, you've got to win one before they come up with their contract expires, and then hopefully you can revamp in the draft because they've, you know, been, you know, very, very lucky and very, you know, their scouts are great, which helps them out, but it's going to be hard to replace those two. So I guess we'll see.
That's pretty much it for Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to move on here. If anyone has any final thoughts, feel free to stop me, but I'm going to turn it over to Pat and Jordan now, as the NHL released a little more information on the hub cities. Pat and I are going to take the backseat on this one. Jordan?
Yeah, you mean Graham?
I said Graham and Jordan, yeah.
You said Pat, but
yeah,
we got
you said that.
I said Pat and I are going to take the backseat on this one.
It's whatever.
You're capping. You said
all right. All right, Jordan Graham.
Run it back.
Please disagree on something.
I
Go
was
ahead.
worried. I thought I had to do a whole NHL spiel. I don't know anything.
All right, Graham, you want to start it or what?
So basically, the NHL, there's been a little bit of news. They've named Edmonton and Toronto as the two hub cities for the restart.
Yep.
They are aiming for, I believe it's either July 31st or August 1st to start playing games. Edmonton is going to host the Stanley Cup final. And there's one more thing. Oh, yeah, the broadcast. I'm assuming that they're going to split games between NHL Network and the NBC subsidiaries and all that kind of stuff. That's not official yet, but they did announce that they're going to have 3 games a day every day, which is going to be pretty awesome. They're going to have, I think it's a 12 o'clock slot, a 4 o'clock slot, and then an 8 p.m. slot, and that's 3 in each hub city, based on the time zone. So like you'd have one game at 12, 4, and 8 Eastern, and then one game at 12, 4, and 8, whatever time zone Edmonton is in. I don't know how Canada
I think
works.
they're West Coast.
I think so.
Pacific.
But yeah, so I'm excited for that because that's going to be right in the middle of when I'm moving on to campus this upcoming fall, and I'm just going to be able to, like, on weekends, just camp, watch hockey all weekend long. I am so excited for it. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm glad by far, the NHL has handled it the best out of every single league by far. It's not even close. Because the one thing that they did great was because they just made the decision 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, I should say, before they're going to start games where they're going to play. And unlike the NBA, who decided way back that it's going to be Orlando, we're going to play in Disney, it's going to be it, and then all of a sudden Florida spikes in cases. Now Orlando doesn't look like the best spot. They definitely would have switched it if they could by now. But the NHL, obviously they have the ability to go into Canada, while the NBA is a little bit more limited. But I think it'll be great. I mean, the first 2 weeks of August are going to be crazy, especially with, like what you said, the NHL doing 3 games a day. I mean, there's going to be so many just because of the play-in series that are going to go on, the round robins that are going to happen with the 1 through 4. But yeah, I mean, I don't applaud Bettman a lot because I don't like him, but I mean, he did do a great job with this, and so far the coronavirus has at least been under control within the league. So,
one thing that I'm surprised that you and I haven't brought up on a previous episode is these play-in games have extra value one way or the other, because you either advance or you get entered into the lottery for the first overall draft pick.
Yeah.
One of the teams that loses their play-in round is going to get the first overall pick.
Yeah.
The Red Wings got absolutely screwed, which I think is hilarious. And
I think the Senators too. They had 2 in the top 6.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, touching on that,
a
lot of people think it's. I mean, this is kind of a conspiracy that it's rigged, but it is really weird that in the first year that they have this weird draft lottery format during a pandemic, and they don't really know one of the teams who's going to get the pick. They end up getting the first overall pick. It is a little bit weird. And if people are saying if Pittsburgh loses and they get the pick, it's going to be ridiculous, especially yeah.
Could you imagine if Edmonton lost and then you've got Draisaitl, Lafreniere, and McDavid on the set? Oh my gosh, dude.
I mean, that's I mean, I hope it plays out where that the teams that deserve to be in the playoffs advance. For example, I hope Montreal doesn't somehow pull up an upset against Pittsburgh, because Montreal didn't deserve a playoff spot at all.
If New York beats the Canes, the rant that I'm going to have on this podcast is going to blow Anthony's wrestling gig out of the water. Like, I will unleash holy hell upon this microphone. But
I mean, I think that's a valid I think it's a valid it's like a valid statement to make, because I mean, in terms of saying that, like, how angry you'll be, because I think a lot of teams, like a best of 5, it doesn't give you a lot of time to, and they're not doing the NBA thing where they play the regular season. It's like they're hopping right back in. So, if the Canes ends up losing a couple of the first 2, you get down in a hole that might be hard to recover. And, I think you're gonna have a lot of people turning their back on the format the minute their team gets out and say that it was flawed.
Yeah.
The same people that are saying that they're happy hockey's back, but
Yeah.
I think that was inevitable. So
Yeah, and I'm one of those people that's just happy hockey's back. So
Yeah.
even if the Canes make a first round exit, I'll be okay at the end of the day because I'll still be able to watch hockey, which is awesome.
if the Bruins make a first round exit, I won't be happy.
Well, they can't.
Yeah, but I mean, first round, I don't know. Do you call the playing rounds the first round?
I whatever. Like the Bruins
Their
are
first round. If they lose their first series, I won't be
They
fucking
will
happy.
not lose that first series. No way.
Yeah, that reseeding will help. Unless they get the 4 seed, and then we're screwed. So
Oh shit! Ooh, my legs just cramped up completely. Oh my god!
you're just gifting yourself. I can imagine them right now.
What?
There's another clip. Put that one down. Ooh, my God.
Clip it.
Okay, I hate all of you. Fuck my body.
I'd rather
I think
not.
that wraps up.
Moving on to baseball.
Yeah,
Hey, chill with that.
Baseball here.
Red Sox schedule came out. I don't know baseball. I know Graham knows. I think more than any of us. So go for it. I'm gonna sit back again.
So I kind of like the way that they made the schedule for this year. 60 games, obviously, and it's loaded with a lot of divisional games. A lot of the games that they play are divisional. So just running through the schedule real quick. It starts at I want to say very late July. So they open with a 3-game series against Baltimore. They got a 2-2 with the Mets. So you do have a little bit of interleague play. Then we go at the Yankees, 2 games at Tampa, and then we've got the Blue Jays, and then the Rays, 4 games at home. So already, first 6 series that we play, 5 of them are against divisional opponents. We go at the Yankees again. We got the Phillies, at the Orioles, at the Blue Jays. Then we play the Nationals and Braves at home back-to-back. Another 4-game series against Toronto. 2 more games against the Phillies, at Tampa Bay for 4 games. And then we play the Marlins, which I feel like is really out of place. But I'm not complaining because the Marlins are horrible. At home against the Yankees, at home against Baltimore, and then we close out the season at Atlanta at the end of September. So just looking at the schedule at face value, I think that we benefit from it being very division loaded because the Rays and the Yankees obviously are 2 very good teams, but the Blue Jays and the Orioles are 2 teams that we could definitely beat multiple times. The Phillies are kind of hit or miss. They have a loaded roster, but it all depends on what they do with it because they were a lot of people's pick in the NL last year, and you see how that turned out. Atlanta is a huge sleeper team because they have one of the youngest, most talented rosters in the entire league, let alone the National League. The fact that we have to play 2 3-game series against them is tough. I think that we're going to be mediocre. I know that the playoffs don't expand this year. They're going to do that in a couple years. But this year it's still just 10 teams. I think that, we've got a shot at one of those lower seeds. But barring a slew of injuries for the Yankees, I think this division is theirs to run for the next couple of years because Garrett Cole is just unreal.
Yeah.
The Yankees are just tough.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. I don't think we're going to make the playoffs. I don't know many Red Sox fans that think we are. And if you do, a bit delusional just because you're going to have to finish above the Rays or the Yankees. I mean, that's how it's going to have to happen. And I think the Rays and the Yankees are both very far ahead. I think if you look at World Series odds, the Yankees are 1 and the Rays are 4. So there's definitely confidence around the league that the Rays have a great roster. And you can even say they're one of the more underrated guys in the teams in the AL just because they're not one of those big market, teams that, gets a lot of fans and stuff, but they're definitely talented. Yeah, you've pretty much summed it up. But the one thing I want to touch on is that with both the Yankees and the Rays, I think we play 7 away games with the Yankees and then 3 at home.
A lot of games at the Yankees. We play 7 games in New York, and then against them, we've only got 3 at home.
Yeah.
And with Tampa, we play, there's a 4-game series in Tampa.
I think it's 6.
We play them at home 4 times and 6 games in Tampa.
Which is annoying because then I think it's the opposite with the Blue Jays and the Orioles. So we get more at home against them. But I'd much rather, have it be against the Rays or the Yankees. I wish they would have figured that out better because playing in Yankee Stadium is still tough just because of the short porch and the dimensions of the field are whack. So
It's Manfred. What did you expect?
yeah, true.
In all honesty, here's the thing: you've got to hope that at least first of all, the AL Central is completely up in the air, but it's pretty much between Minnesota and Cleveland, who is another team that might be changing their name along with the Redskins, which let's not go down that rabbit hole right now. But you've got the Indians, because the Twins are probably going to win that division. The Indians will contend for a wild card spot. The A's will contend for a wild card spot. Same thing with the Rays. So we've got to hope that at least two of those three teams flop, and the Angels. Because the Angels are, any team with Mike Trout is a playoff threat, like a threat to be in the playoffs, because you can never count them out. Especially now that they've got a little bit of pitching. So the odds are stacked against us for sure. I wouldn't consider us a bottom feeder in the AL yet, at least, but I don't know. It's stacked against us.
Yeah.
I want to, I'm not a huge baseball guy, but I want to jump in here. Obviously, I know, Graham, you didn't want to get too much into this, but the news today about Eduardo Rodriguez, obviously got the virus, which you're just looking at, I think, just looking at the team, already a weak, rotation, just getting absolutely pummeled with that on top of it. I really just don't think it's going to be a great season for them. Just looking from the outside, not even I don't know a whole lot in depth about it, but.
And our bullpen is still garbage.
Yeah.
So.
Go Sox. I think it's that time of the week again where we get into our weekly top 10 lists.
Best time of the week.
This week, we have the top 10 wide receivers of all time. And I haven't seen any. I don't think any of us have seen each other's lists. So I think is I think a cool thing for this week.
Always makes it more fun.
Yeah, definitely, because we always see in our group chat when Graham says, "Guys, send it over. I need the."
I tell you to send it to me individually, but people don't listen. So.
Nah, I do.
Yeah, Jordan does sometimes.
I don't.
Yeah, Pat,
My bad.
we're looking at you right now.
Yeah, we always see a little bit. I don't look too much into it, but I always see like one or two guys on some.
Mine's always a surprise.
Yeah, we can start doing that. Yeah.
Everyone,
Jordan and Graham
if you're watching us on YouTube right now, go in the comments and feel free to discuss what Graham and Jordan are going to disagree on this week.
Probably everything.
I'm hopeful for this week. No,
I hope you guys argue.
I think this list is a pretty not a lot of hot takes can be really had on this list, I don't think.
I might have one, but we'll get into the honorable mentions. And we'll go from there.
I'm just going to let it be known that when we eventually get to all-time cornerbacks or secondary, I'm going to take the hottest of all hot takes. And you can put money on that.
I think
Stephon Gilmore, best cornerback of all time. Usually unbiased content.
You're going to be very surprised who I think is the greatest corner ever.
No
but anyways, enough of that. Let's live in the present. Let's go on to our honorable mentions. Whoever wants to start off, go ahead.
I'll take it.
I
got Don Hudson. Is it Hudson? Yeah. He played way back, I think, the 40s and 50s. He doesn't have the best stats, obviously. Wasn't a passing league back then, but I think he deserves credit as a pioneer of the receiver position. Probably Fred Blitnikoff, too. I know he has a trophy named after him. And then also I have Julio Jones as an honorable mention and Antonio Brown, just because they're at the top of the game for a very long time. 2010s.
Wow. I have Hudson on my list, and I have him higher than 10. I'll give you that. I can see him being an honorable mention.
Yeah, I was thinking about putting him in there.
But yeah, I think he deserves to be a little bit more respected. But I can see, the numbers don't line up, and whether you choose to take into account the fact that the league wasn't as passing oriented at that point, it's personal preference. My honorable mentions: I have Fred Blitnikoff, I have Chris Carter.
Oh my God!
Okay, listen.
Here we go.
All right, go ahead.
My 10 through 13, I consider it could all be tied for 10.
It's top 10, not top 13.
What I'm saying is my honorable mentions are very, very close cuts. All right. So
All right.
don't consider this disrespect to them, because they could very well have been on my list if I made it on a different day of the week,
Yeah.
And if you think that one was hot, I have Marvin Harrison as the honorable mention.
Oh,
See, I think the Chris Carter one's hotter than the Marvin Harrison.
Oh, he said
Where's
Marvin
my list? It
Harrison.
would
He
be.
cut
He
out
said
there for a second.
As an honorable mention, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so I think I have three that no one's mentioned yet. I have Reggie Wayne, Isaac Bruce, and then Steve Smith as my three.
Those are all good honorable
Yeah,
mentions.
just missed the cut.
Yeah. I don't know, like,
honorable mention.
and I think at least in my 10 spot, I think any of those players could replace who I have at 10. I think it was really close between that. But then I think 9 down was pretty solid for me. I didn't have to like switch guys around a lot.
I've lost all hope that Jordan and I won't disagree on this episode.
Well, you keep saying that your number
It's gonna
10 is
happen.
like a huge hot take, and you said Chris Carter isn't in there, so I don't know what this hot take is going to be, but I'm
My
waiting for
honorable
it.
mentions, guys mentioned already, Fred Biletnikoff and Julio Jones. I thought that would be hot to put Julio there because he's one of my favorite players ever. And then I got Andre Reed of the Buffalo Bills and Tim Brown of the Oakland Raiders.
Those are both
Reed's a good one. All right, we should have Graham go last on his 10 since his is like
Bill Spence.
yeah. All right, I'll throw mine out there. I have Marvin Harrison at 10.
Too low for me.
Too low, like too high.
Like too low on the list. I have him higher.
Okay.
I respect
got-
that.
Chris Carter at 10.
I've
See,
got
too low for me there.
that's too low for me too. I got Michael Irvin at 10. Actually, well, so
Hmm,
I just
okay.
Graham kind of convinced me. I kind of went in. I put Don Hudson at 10. I gave him the respect because he has way more touchdowns than Michael Irvin.
Hmm.
So I'm going to put Michael Irvin as an honorable mention and put Don Hudson at number 10.
Word.
I've got Julio Jones at number 10.
Okay,
I
that's
like
cool.
that.
That's not
I
that
like
bad.
that.
I like that.
I think that he's earned it, in all honesty. Like the fact that let's remember, he's played on some pretty bad Falcons teams. He's played on some really bad Falcons teams, and he has still found a way to put up ridiculous numbers. Even though he went over that stretch where there was one year where he had like 3 touchdowns. He,
Brutal, yeah.
yeah, he had a stretch.
Yeah.
He didn't get red zone targets like at all, and he still put up crazy yards. If you can put up 300 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns in one game, you deserve to be on the list.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
see,
like Madden.
I think he deserves to be there. I think you're right. But the problem that I have is that I go back to Chris Carter. You don't have Chris Carter on there, but you have Julio Jones. I think Chris Carter is a superior receiver to Julio in terms of his career achievements.
I think that you can argue that. I think that you can definitely argue that. But my take is that Julio Jones was more dominant, or is more dominant in his career, like at the position, than Chris Carter was when he played.
That's fair.
Because when Chris Carter was in the league, there were multiple better wide receivers than him at the time.
Randy Moss was on the same team as him.
Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah.
Julio Jones, like, you can always make a case that Julio Jones is the best wide receiver in the league, and it's respectable. So that's why I have him over Chris Carter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could definitely be a testament to the wide receiver talent back then too, which is absolutely
That's also true.
ridiculous, too.
That's also a very
But
fair
I
point.
agree because like if I'm thinking, there's not a whole lot of guys. I don't even know if there's 10 guys that I would pick over Julio Jones to have my team. I remember I saw a video from this past year of when the Cardinals and Falcons played, and Kyler's talking to Larry Fitzgerald, and he's like the best I've ever seen. Larry talking about Julio, so it's just
Yeah. Yeah.
he's all time.
So we all set our number 10, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so let's move on to number 9, where I have Michael Irvin.
I do as well.
I have Marvin Harrison.
I have Tim Brown.
Tim Brown is underrated in all time, I think. I don't. That's funny I say that because I don't have him on my list, but I think he gets a lot of unnecessary, like, he gets kind of put to the side because he wasn't one of those flashy guys. He wasn't ever Jerry Rice. He wasn't ever Terrell Owens. But he was still like a great
productive.
wide receiver. Yeah, exactly. So
For a long time.
yeah, so I'm kind of being hypocritical here, but I feel like he deserves a little bit more love.
I actually had him. I actually switched him with my 8. I had my 8 and my 9, and my 9 and my 8. So we can move on to 8 whenever we're ready. But those are the guys I switched up.
This one,
That's a lot second.
number 8, I'll go ahead and start. I have Lance Allworth at number 8.
I forgot about him.
Long
Yeah, I did
time
not put him on my
Chargers
list.
stud. Lance Allworth reinvented the position of wide receiver because he was
Yeah.
playing right when the league was transitioning.
If I'm not mistaken, he played at the same time as the tight end Kellen Winslow, right?
Perhaps maybe a little bit earlier. Yeah, but Allworth it was right when the league was transitioning to kind of passing oriented.
Yeah.
He never obviously those Chargers teams. The Chargers have been to one Super Bowl ever, I think. So in terms of career achievements in that sense, Allworth never did too much. But I feel like if you go back and you watch Lance Allworth highlights, it's like if you combine Tyreek Hill and Christian McCaffrey into the same person and put him at wide receiver. He's just a stud, and I love watching those clips of him, and so that's why I put him at 8.
I'm looking at his stats right now. They're actually kind of they're actually pretty wild.
Yeah.
And not that many games too. Something I want to say that reminds me. His stats. Looking at his stats reminds me. Des Bryant in his prime from 2013 to around 2015 is probably a top 10 dominant receiver ever. If you look at
I'll agree with
stats
that.
and the facts of there's a photo where he's lined up at the line of scrimmage and there are 2 guys on him, 2 DBs on him at the line of scrimmage because that's the kind of attention he needed to be stopped back then. So I think he definitely deserves that recognition.
All right. I'll go next to my 8. I have Irvin at 8.
It's respectable.
Tim Brown at 8.
Don Hudson 8.
That's a perfect transition because I've got Don Hudson at 7.
Ooh.
Before I give my 7, I want to just touch on Irvin quickly. I think Irvin gets unjustly ridiculed for being on the dynasty Cowboys team. And he gets stuff. He gets it taken away from him that he was playing with a great team. But I just think that I don't know. He was just one of the more dominant receivers in recent history, as recent as obviously the 90s. But his best season finishing with 1,500 and 1,500 yards, and then his best touchdown season with 10. And I'm not sure. Was there a more? I mean, he was one of the more dominant receivers during his time, obviously. And has the rings. I mean, he has the Pro Bowls. He has the All Pros. But I think he's one of the guys who gets kind of shamed for being on a great team for many years.
I think that there's definitely a difference between greatest wide receivers of all time and the most dominant wide receivers of all time.
Yeah.
Because if you were to go off of most dominant, if you ask me who the greatest tight end in history is, I'm telling you Tony Gonzalez. But if you ask me who the most dominant tight end in history is, it's easily Rob Gronkowski. Easily. Yeah. Because in the time that Gronk played, nobody matched his stats. And so I think that, Irvin, he would be a little higher up on the list. And maybe that's something for another episode? Question mark? But, yeah. So I think Irvin, I think you're right in saying that he gets a little bit of unnecessary hate just because a lot of people like to hate the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did stab somebody over a haircut as well. I'm going to go into my number 7, and I feel extremely disrespectful for putting him at number 7, but I have Larry Fitzgerald.
Oh, my God. That is a hot take. I think you're going to get
hot take. Yeah. I think you're going to get major flack for that one.
Instagram comments are about to go crazy.
That's crazy.
I feel like everyone I have ahead of him, I could legitimately back up.
I don't know, bro. He's had probably one of the most underrated careers in NFL history. I mean, he's just so consistent, and I don't think people realize how dominant he's been for years. He's obviously slipped up a little bit, but
I'm gonna stop you right there. Now that I think about it, I'm just looking back at my list right now, no bullshit. I had Steve Largent at 6, and that kind of sounds ludicrous. So I'm gonna put Larry at 6, and Largent at 7. But now definitely I'm comfortable with.
Okay.
I'm wondering who you have over him. I mean,
I'm not wondering. I know who he has over him.
So he's got the top. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think of 4 that I would have that you could have over Fitz. But I can't think of 5.
I mean, that's definitely 4. I think for sure.
Yeah. And we're all thinking of the same four. We won't say them, but
If you're counting 5, not counting Steve Largent, I think that's.
But let's get Steve Largent out of the picture because he's now below Larry Fitzgerald.
All right, there's a hot take
True.
coming. Let's just say that much. All right, let's keep going with 7.
I've got Chris Carter.
yeah, I have Chris Carter as well. Me and Pat have very similar lists again.
Always.
We do, yeah. Must be because we're true New Englanders.
True.
There's something in the air up here.
The only true New Englanders on the
No offense,
podcast.
you guys. We're just saying something in the air.
All right. Number 6.
Yeah, let's move to 6.
I have Calvin Johnson at number 6.
Ooh,
Okay.
That's
Wow.
too
it's
low.
too low for me.
But to be fair, I think that 3 through 6 for me is just a toss-up. You can put them in any order, and I think it would be understandable at the very least, if not respectable. If your 1 and 2 weren't the same as what I have, I think you're out of your ever-loving mind. But Calvin Johnson, it's the argument that I made earlier with Michael Irvin. If we were doing most dominant wide receivers of all time, Calvin Johnson would jump up the list for me.
Mhm.
But I think in terms of obviously Calvin Johnson has put up some great numbers, but he didn't play very long and he never did anything. I mean, part of that is because he was on the Lions, so he couldn't do much about it. Yeah, exactly.
And it's tough to find the balance. We talked about this when we were rating basketball. Like, we got a lot of flack for having Trae Young not on our top 10 best point guards in the league.
Unwarranted.
But like how we say team success plays into it. I think there's a certain amount of dominance that you have to include when you're talking about the greatest ever. That's why I think if you're just talking about stats, when someone just rates it on like who had the best stats, like those are the guys who have Wilt Chamberlain at 1 and Bill Russell at 2 and then MJ at 3. Like, that isn't the incomplete story. But you have to find the balance between statistical information and then how dominant were they during their time and how would they maybe compare to the guys in the modern history. But I think you're right that unfortunately Calvin got his career cut short, and he very well could have been up there with Moss and T.O. and all them as the greatest ever. So
I already said
that was
for
yeah, you gave your 6.
Fits.
I have Largent at 6.
I've got Largent too.
We might have the
same list. I think we do.
Wait, have you guys had the exact same?
Top 7. I think
No.
some people say
Who's your
Carter.
10? Who's your 10, Pat?
Don Hudson.
Okay, so we don't have the same 10, and then we have Irvin and Brown switched to 8 and 9, but then the rest of it is the same.
Oh, I don't have.
Hey, you're making my life easier with the graphic.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, just it's gonna look similar. It's not the exact same.
Make sure we get the retro logos in for this week. Like Steve Largent, have that old Seahawks. I'm just saying, I think it would look
Get
cool.
on that, please.
You want to pick up my shifts, bro? Have at it.
If you want us to look like shit, then if you want us to look like shit, then I'm all for it.
All right, before we get too heated, let's move on to 5. Moving into the top 5.
I've got Steve Largent.
Wow. Okay.
Terrell Owens.
Terrell Owens.
Wow. Okay.
The amount of disrespect that man gets
Well, it's warranted.
Yeah, really.
from everybody.
But everybody else ahead of him, I think, is like far superior.
Well, like Graham said, I think that 3 to 6 is definitely pretty up in the air.
Yeah, it's dicey.
So I can't get too. But yeah, I got Fitz at 5.
I got Calvin at 5.
Yeah, we're not gonna have a repeat of when Jordan lit into me for like 10 minutes because I had over one spot because of Damian Lillard.
Wait, what was that? Oh, in our point guard list?
Yes.
No. But I defended myself. I'm a huge Russ guy, so having Damian over Russ is like blasphemous.
Let's not get into this again, please.
Yeah, we
need to have a podcast where we revisit all of our debate. We need to have like where me and Graham revisit the Giannis versus AD debate, where we revisit because I feel like we could talk about this shit forever.
Yeah,
I think you would.
We could still be talking about it from when we recorded the first episode.
Yeah, I agree. All right.
I want to go back to Patrick Mahomes real quick because I just got a Twitter notification. DeAndre Hopkins just tweeted that. I'm just going to open up the thread real quick. He said 24 reasons why Mahomes deserves that. 0 doubts he will win more Super Bowls. So the praise is high for this guy. All right.
Wait, do you understand the reference?
No, I don't.
It's from when the Texans were up 24-0 on the Chiefs in the divisional round, and then they came back and won 51-31.
I forgot.
I cannot believe you blow a lead like, dude.
I remember that. I remember the day of that game. I remember it because I think just like every other Patriots fan in the world, I was praying that the Chiefs would lose that game. And when I left for work, the Texans were up 24-0. And then I get to work and it's 24-21. And I'm like, what the heck happened here?
Well, and I don't remember, was the Ravens game before? Because I remember watching the Ravens game and thinking, I can't believe they're losing. Was that game before or after the Chiefs game?
It was the next day, I think.
No, the game was first, I think.
It was a Saturday, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, that was a crazy weekend.
But yeah, like Graham, I think I was on break or something. I checked that. I was like, holy shit, the Chiefs getting blown out. And then I got out of work and I was like, how did they beat them by 20, like 17 points?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
What are we up to? 4 on our list now?
Yeah.
We all give our 5? Well, who's yours, Anthony?
I had T.O.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got questions with that.
I did too, but we'll get into it later. Number 4, I've got Larry Fitzgerald.
I put Calvin.
I put Calvin.
I have Fitz as well.
Well,
Me and Graham have not disagreed.
Yeah, it's surprising you guys had the same one.
Calvin at 4. And then
Yep.
we want to get right into 3?
Yeah.
Marvin Harrison at 3.
Whoa, I forgot about him.
He's not on your list.
He's on my list, but he's not. I didn't think he'd have him that high.
Oh, yeah. I'm just going to say he played 13 seasons, and 8 of those seasons he put over 1,000 yards. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm just looking at it right now. Oh, never mind. Only 3 of those 1,000-yard seasons were closer to 2,000 than 1,000. And in each of those 1,000-yard seasons, he put up over 10 touchdowns.
So, oh my gosh,
this is the first time I think that you have someone in the top 3 that two of us don't even have on our list, right? You guys don't have him on your list?
Yeah, this is unheard of.
I have 9.
I don't have him on my list.
This is a scorching hot take, Anthony.
If we go back 5 minutes, if you're on Spotify or YouTube, whatever, go back 5 minutes. I told everybody hot take incoming with Anthony's list. Lo and behold. Wow. Okay.
I didn't think that was that hot.
They're great, but I don't know.
Because I originally had Calvin at 3. I originally had Calvin.
And I wouldn't argue with that.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
I tried switching them to avoid the argument, but I was wrong.
I mean, Harrison does have
That's
the
all right.
stats.
We like the uniqueness.
This is not what I'd expect.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm not a Colts fan, but I'm a Marvin Harrison fan, and that dude was insane.
Here's the thing for me. I think that if you put Marvin Harrison on a team with anybody other than Peyton Manning at quarterback, he doesn't have a Hall of Fame career.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. But he did have Peyton Manning.
He did, and so I can't take that away from him. But I'm going to, because if you, I don't think that you can justify that, because like the thing with Calvin Johnson, no disrespect to Matthew Stafford or the Lions, well, disrespect to the Lions, but no disrespect to Matthew Stafford, but Calvin Johnson basically wasted his whole career on a garbage franchise, and he still had a Hall of Fame career over only 10 years, I think it was. And so, first of all, I think that you were right in the first place by having Calvin Johnson over Marvin Harrison, if we were to make that argument. But
I'm going strictly off of numbers there, and Marvin Harrison has the Super Bowl ring.
Wait, where do you have Terrell Owens, Anthony?
I had him at 5.
Oh, okay. I thought you. Okay. I didn't know if I heard him from you or not.
I think it's absurd. I think having Marvin Harrison at 3 is quite possibly. It's the hottest take that's been on this podcast since you said that Lamar Jackson was the 7th best quarterback in the NFL.
Okay. Wow. I think Lamar Jackson being at 7 is hotter, but whatever goes on in your brain, whatever floats your boat.
Well, I don't think we need to. I think we have the last 3 the exact same, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
T.O., Moss, Rice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right, Moss and Rice.
All right.
anticlimactic, but I mean,
speaking of the Detroit Lions, I'm going to put a poll on my Instagram story. Who is the bigger legend killer, the Detroit Lions or Randy Orton? I say, I don't know. That's a tough
I
one.
give it to the Lions.
That's a debate for another week.
the Lions killed the legend of LeGarrette Blount, so I mean, that's one. They killed the legend of Calvin Johnson, Barry Sanders, Matthew Stafford.
But chiefly, LeGarrette Blount. Most important.
Yeah, true. We're gonna start it off with him.
Like
First and foremost,
boyfriend.
like
I think I think there's an argument to be made though that you could say Moss is over Rice.
Talented.
stop.
No, I think you can.
No. I think so too.
Listen, this goes back to what I said when we were at the beginning of the list.
Moss most dominant.
If Moss is much more dominant than Jerry Rice was. However, the numbers for Jerry Rice speak for themselves. Like
That's fair. That's fair. But
If we're going by
I would
most
say that
talented of all time, I think Randy could definitely be number
well,
one.
if we're going by most talented of all time, you'd have people that don't even grace my top 30 getting onto this list.
all the old guys.
Yeah, like Odell Beckham. Like I think he's one of the 10 most talented wide receivers in terms of like hands, route running, all that kind of stuff, speed. Like
Julian
he's just a freak athlete.
I don't know. I guess it goes back to how much you include. I think that there's like a different level of where people include dominance in their greatest of all time. But I think that there's an acceptable level where you could push Randy Moss slightly over Jerry if you value dominance a little bit more than stats overall.
That'd be a scalding hot take.
No, I don't think it is at all though. Like I genuinely think that you're gonna have people in the comments, I guarantee it, saying that all of us are wrong for having Rice over Moss. I guarantee, and maybe it's because they're gonna be Patriots fans, just being biased. But I almost guarantee that you're gonna have some guys saying that we're crazy for not putting Moss over Rice.
No, the worst thing is gonna be when I put the Vikings logo beside Moss's name instead of the Patriots logo, and people get mad.
Put the Hall of Fame logo. Put the Hall of Fame logo.
Do them one better and put the Raiders logo next to him.
I should put the Raiders logo next to Jerry Rice's name.
You got to put the most obscure, like where they played for like a year at the end of their career.
When we do cornerbacks, I'll put the Ravens logo next to Deion Sanders.
Put the Broncos logo next to Jerry Rice.
The Braves logo next.
Everyone on this.
Yeah. Seahawks Jerry Rice.
No, Broncos Jerry Rice. I think everyone sees their shit.
It'd be funny.
So, do we want to announce what list we're gonna do next week? Because I don't even think we've even discussed that.
No.
Oh, that's true.
Wait, is there?
Tight ends?
I don't even know.
We've got a lot of stuff in the vault, like for future episodes, but we haven't decided on one for next week, like officially.
Oh, do you want to keep it the NFL game or what?
I don't know.
The only thing is we can't do hockey because, like,
I could.
Or baseball.
Imagining an Anthony list for like the 10 greatest goalies of all time.
Yeah, I mean you could because like you could do research, but I feel like we'd have to have enough discussion about it, and I don't know how much discussion would go on.
No, Anthony and I would not say a peep.
For real.
Just say the name and that's it.
I'd be falling asleep over here.
We could certainly jump back to top 10 basketball of all time overall, because Graham wasn't here when we discussed that, and we never made a list. So we could hop back to that and do that. I don't know. That's one we could do. I mean, we can go MLB as well. I don't know how much you guys know.
Forget that.
I'm fine with whatever. I'll do whatever.
I'm asking you guys to put together a wrestling list of the top heels, career heels.
Oh, I'd kill it, bro. Edge would be 1 through 10.
All right, okay.
Edge would be pretty high up there. I'll give you that.
Listen, all right. So here's what we've got to do. I feel like over the next month, because we're recording this, it's July 7th, and most sports aren't coming back until the end of the month. If we do one NHL list, one MLB list, and one WWE list, that will take up the episodes until sports return.
You guys are going to kill me with the NHL and MLB.
But I haven't ever watched a single episode of Raw, SmackDown, or anything like that in my entire life. So I think it evens out.
Graham, I'm wondering what.
And I don't think I've ever sat through a single inning of baseball.
What did you say, Pat?
I'm wondering what would you do for a graphic for WWE? Would you put like
I-
mini face photos in it?
Probably like
We
like a
can do
headshot.
a show.
I just put the WWE logo next to everybody.
For everybody. That's what I was thinking.
What would we do for NBA? And like, do we want to like do like we could do this is before the season starts? We could do like top NBA playoff teams. Like, I guess that we kind of need to know who's going to be in it, though. We could. I guess we could. I don't know.
That
We'll
would be
figure
like
it
the
out.
last second thing to put together.
Oh, we could break out the extravaganza episode that we've been talking about.
Well, we would just do a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If we can't even decide on one.
that's why we can fit 4 or 5 into one episode.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, true. All right, let's do it. We should make that one of them in the next week or so.
Clear your schedule.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm not following right now because I just worked all day. So
Oh, okay. So a couple days ago, and let's
let's discuss this off camera. Let's make it a little bit of a surprise.
well, but I think that we can tie it in because what we can do is if you're listening, you can hit us on Instagram or whatever, drop a suggestion for a list that we should add to our gigantic episode where we do only top 10 lists.
We should do that. Why don't we do that? We should put it on the Ride the Wave story.
Yeah,
Say, give us lists. We'll take the 4 best. We'll do that for an episode.
I love that.
That works.
All right.
We can
So we
each
don't have to
get
do
our-
the thinking.
we can
Yeah.
each- list, you know?
What'd you say, Anthony?
We can each get our own list. Like if I wanted to make a wrestling one, I could. Jordan can do hockey.
All right.
Yeah.
Graham can do hockey.
We'll have some variation in it.
We'll do
yeah.
it. I
I'll
like
leave
that.
that. And I will do my best to stay educated on anything that I'm not educated on.
I'll do my best.
Hmm.
to
Likewise.
I better start my wrestling fucking.
Everybody
Who's on
except for
the radio right
Anthony.
On it.
I'm going to be like,
There's
there
plenty
will
of
be no
people-
discussion.
Jordan,
I'll
you
be
don't
able to
need
give a
research.
list,
You just need edge. That's all you need.
True.
No, mark my words. I will blow up on Anthony for one of his wrestling takes, even though I know nothing about it.
Can't wait to hear this.
This
I
is a
can't
secret.
wait. So before we head off here, anybody have any closing remarks they would like to make? Because I know I might have a few.
It's all you.
I've got one, but Anthony can go first because he's much more passionate about it than me, apparently.
I haven't been watching as much wrestling as I should be. Everything's starting to open back up. I'm starting to go out and do hooligan shit with my boys more. But I did catch a little bit of the last episode of SmackDown and Raw. We just said we were filming on Tuesday. As our old ritual was, we used to film every Friday, but our schedules are just getting way too hectic that we have to just film whenever we're all free. But I like how Sasha Banks and Bayley are starting to build up a little bit. Starting to see a lot more tension between the two. The roles are kind of being reversed. Sasha's putting Bayley in those title situations more, and it's Bayley's starting to get a little more pissed off. But I like the way this is building. If I had to put out a really hot take, not that anyone here can really argue it, I feel like at Backlash, Bayley's going to retain her title. Sasha,
No way.
No way.
Wait, didn't that already happen?
Come on, Anthony. Come on.
I hate all of you.
You're
No, I'm
also
serious.
Bayley's
Did
going to retain her SmackDown title. Sasha's going to take the Raw Women's title off of Asuka. They're going to drop the tag titles. I think next Monday they're having a match for those titles. And then I feel like we're going to see a winner-take-all match at SummerSlam between Sasha and Bayley. That's what I want to see. I don't know, but I feel like winner-take-all matches are happening way too often now. I know NXT, there's a big one between Adam Cole and Keith Lee for the NXT Championship and the North American Championship. I feel like we've seen way too many not really unification matches, but winner-take-all matches in the last few years. Like we saw one a few years back with Cena and Orton for the 2 world titles, which was the stupidest thing in my opinion. But you can put money on the fact that there will be a winner-take-all match. You can put money. I'm not putting money on it. 'Cause
How much? How much we talking?
I'll drop my Venmo.
Yeah,
$450 million. Put Patrick Mahomes' contract on it.
All right, my closing remark.
Don't do drugs.
I'll go. What'd you say?
He said don't do drugs.
Yeah, that. But also, news story dropped a couple days ago. We didn't get to it in the episode. I mentioned it before we started recording. Baker Mayfield might be on a short leash with the Browns this year, which is a big story because a lot of people, myself included, have them kind of having a sophomore breakout, if you want to call it that. I think the Browns are going to be pretty good this year, but story came out that, if Baker Mayfield doesn't cut the turnovers this year, he could be riding the bench, which would be a humongous story in the NFL. And to be completely honest with you, I don't even know who the Browns' backup quarterback is right now.
I think
I
it
don't
would still be Deshaun Kaiser.
I think that he went to the Packers.
Deshaun Kaiser's a Packer.
He did.
Oh, did he? Oh, is he?
I don't know
Brett
who
Hundley
they
then,
have right now. I want to say it's Kevin Hogan, the dude who used to be at Stanford, but I don't really know that for 100% sure. One way or the other.
It's Case Keenum, isn't it?
Oh yeah, they do have Case Keenum. That's true.
Yeah.
He's on the Browns? I didn't even know.
He's either on the Browns or the Redskins. I have no
I
idea.
forgot about it. Yes, the Browns. I'm looking at it right now.
I thought it would be
That's so
either him
weird.
or McCown because you never know where McCown is nowadays.
That's true. Or Ryan Fitzpatrick, but
Fitz is a Dolphin. I know that.
well, I know that too. But my point, yeah. Well, just all of that to say that Baker Mayfield, he's electric, but he's a turnover machine. And if he doesn't stop that this year, he might not be electric on our televisions for much longer. So that's something to watch for.
Rooting for
All
you,
right, so
Baker. It's time.
I have a couple things. ESPN, I don't know if you guys said this, you probably did. ESPN released their top 10 playoff teams for the NBA, and they had the Celtics at 6, I believe,
Oh, that's awful.
with
That's
the
garbage.
Rockets ahead of us. And I'd argue the Raptors shouldn't be ahead of us, but if you want to go by record, that's fine. But they think the Rockets was blasphemous, so ESPN is back on their bullshit, hating on Boston teams. But another thing, Colin Cowherd on his show, I said that if LeBron loses, it's not his fault because he doesn't have enough help. And I thought that was the most ridiculous statement. Yeah, exactly.
J.R. Smith,
Shut the
he's the
headache up.
savior.
Not only does he have J.R. Smith, but a couple notches below now. He has Anthony Davis, and it's obviously he has a lot of help. It's an absurd statement. And then the last thing I want to say, I think last week, in terms of our list, was the first time that we all got praise in the comments by at least once. I know that me and Pat got included in a comment that said, and then Anthony got a nice one, and then Graham.
Those are my
got one too.
Shout out, Double. Appreciate the comment, bro.
There was little hate this week, but I have a feeling this week's going to be, or last week, I think this week's going to be a little bit different.
All the praise I got were my friends, so that doesn't count.
Oh, really? You did not get to reveal that. I had no idea.
One way or the other.
Yeah, that's all I have.
I think the funniest part was my friend said, because he's a Giants fan, he goes, where's Saquon? I'm like, I know you're joking, but everybody else that follows this account doesn't know you're joking.
Oh, I thought that was just a roast.
Nah, it probably wasn't.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe.
I meant on you, like your reply.
Oh, yeah.
Let's just say it was.
We'll go with that. I
You
will.
flame that kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I legit know him.
Exactly.
I know him, so.
He's got to delete his. Got to delete his account now. Like it's over.
Oh, yeah.
He
See you later.
put that on Ride the Wave. That's it. He's done.
My uncle owns Facebook. He'll have your account taken down.
All right, so that pretty much ends it for
That
this
wraps it up.
week.
I got nothing.
I knew you had nothing.
Don't believe it, right?
Pretty much wraps it up for this week. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, MySpace, not Snapchat. Don't add me on Snapchat. Once again, sponsored by nobody. Hopefully, with I know Anchor, you can put like sponsored deals and crap like that. And shout out Anchor getting us on Spotify.
We need to get a new guys OnlyFans. That way we can have.
Love Anthony
Throw
Ryan.
my lifting videos on there. On the OnlyFans.
We would definitely have sponsors from that.
For real.
Yep.
And in case anyone has anything to say, I think that's gonna wrap it up for us this week.
Yep.
Yeah, he's off.
Silence?
That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, make sure. We are gonna. This episode's gonna release on Friday. On Saturday, I will put something up on the Ride the Wave main page story. It might be Friday night. I'll probably go with Friday night. Put something up about what you guys want to be featured on the top 10 list episode that's going to be coming out next week or the week after that. Sometime upcoming, we'll pick the ones that we like the most, and if yours gets featured, congratulations. But yeah,
We'll give you a
thanks
shout
for
out
your-
as well.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we'll mention who. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's it.
All right.
Peace.
Later, y'all.
See you later.
Next week.